Did you know that there's a cemetery here on the Seneca Valley campus? I didn't for quite some time. I find that quite interesting. I'm sure you do too. To learn more about this interesting topic, no doubt, we interviewed several students and Ms. Perella for her take and expertise on this issue. Take it away.
Yeah, I have seen the graveyard between the school. I didn't know there was that graveyard located in two schools. There's people under the ground? That's all I really know. I have no idea.
I was teaching my students about the trolley that used to run from Pittsburgh all the way up to Newcastle, and it went through Mars and Evans City. And I looked on the map, and there was this place this thing called Knights Pythias. And so I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. And so I started to do a little digging, and I know one thing I asked Ms. Gridden, because she knew some things about it. And so before I go to the cemetery, let me take you first. If you are familiar with this, here's Mill Road. Up here is Deep Valley Golf Course. All right, so if you go down Evergreen Mill Road and you keep driving down, all right, you will see off to your right a white house off to the side, and it's actually a little bit better picture here.
That's the nursing home?
That is the nurse.
Okay.
It's called the Grove.
Yeah.
Now today. So interesting is that the cemetery is connected to this place, and it's kind of hard let me see where my picture is here. You know, we always take the roundabout way, but if you look at a map here, so here is the Grove, or where that white house is, and then here's where the cemetery is. So you can see actually how close it was and how these two are connected. So this, before it was the Grove, was a place called, you can take the picture here to you, called the Grand Lodge Harmony Home, Knights of Pythias. And that's where our story actually starts, the Knights of Pythias. So Justin Rathbone, he was the founder of the Knights of Pythias, and it's an international fraternal order. It's actually still around today. It was started in 1864 in Washington, D.C., and their beliefs and stuff are based on like mythology and things like that. Well, now let's jump to Harmony. So if we know our local history, Harmony was established early 1800s by the Harmonists coming over from Germany. And so they really built up this area, like 2,000 acres. They cultivated the land, they had over 100 buildings. But then in 1814, they decided to leave Harmony and go to New Harmony in Indiana. And so there was a Mennonite community that came and bought the property and bought all and used the buildings. Well, then the Knights of Pythias bought this, and this was one of the buildings, bought it from them in 1903, and they established this as a retirement home for members of the Knights of Pythias. And so that's where it served as, and it's amazing. And I'm sure the Harmony Museum has more, but these are some of the things that I found. Like they have little postcards of what it looked like, and here's another old postcard of it, and they have buttons. Like I found that on eBay. I mean, how random is that? But yeah, so the Knights of this was, and I think they did have a lodge around here. I'm not sure about that history, but this was a retirement home for them. And so now, whenever a member passed away, they could be buried in the cemetery that's here at Seneca.
Reporting to the Seneca Scout, I'm Gavin Krause.